Okay. All right. Isabella.
Hi.
So last time we talked quite a bit about how you had this fear of being judged as like a less than ideal person, and that seemed to revolve a lot around like how comfortable you made other people feel in your interactions with them. So we can start off with that, or if there's anything else that's come up or feels important to talk about, we can do that too. What do you think?
I do have something that I think I wanted to talk about,
Okay.
but we can like go into like any part that you want
Okay.
to.
Let's start with what came up, and we'll just see where it goes.
Okay. It's definitely a more positive thing that happened.
Cool.
Not as negative as they have been in the
Yeah.
past, but so here recently I like was at the house with my roommates and I saw that like there was a pile of really dirty dishes in the sink, and I was like, I'm gonna try and bring this up again, and see what happens. So I talked to my other roommate, Jane, not the one that yelled at me that one time, about the dishes, and like I just told her, hey, can you clean this up when you get a chance? I'd be really happy about that. And she was like, okay. And like an hour later, she did it. And I was like, I just like was so happy. I told her, I was like, thank you so much for doing that. It's like such a small gesture, but it's like a really big thing for me. And she was just like, she understood like where I was coming from, and it made me feel really good. And so definitely a positive note.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
What was different about this time than some of the other times? Why did you decide to say something to her?
So I don't know. I guess I had like a little burst of confidence. Like it was a good day. I was just like, what do I have to lose? I've already been yelled at. But this interaction was very good.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. What were some of the feelings that you had as you kind of approached her and prepared to ask her this?
I was scared, a little scared to bring it up, but it was like in the back of my mind, I was like, it's dishes. Like I should not be afraid of talking to my roommate about doing the dishes. Like that's silly. So just that burst of confidence and just like realization that it's just like a small thing. Like she can totally do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Kind of rationalizing it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. You mentioned being a little scared. What were you afraid of happening?
Just kind of like what happened the last time. Like her just like blatantly saying like, no, I don't want to do that, or going even further and like yelling at me about it. And like Jane's much nicer than Kelly, so I figured, it wouldn't have such a bad outcome.
Yeah.
Or as bad of an outcome as the last one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just kind of judging my situation.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I'm really proud of you for doing that. That takes some courage.
Thanks.
For sure.
I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, you should be. It seems like there's a possibility that could represent a bit of a turning point for you and Jane, and maybe that spreads out to other areas. But you said she did it, and you thanked her, and you told her that it meant a lot to you. It just feels like that was potentially a really important step in your relationship.
Yeah, and like after I did that, and even talking to you now, it made me think about how maybe with this positive interaction, it could lead to a better relationship between me and her, and then maybe that means another or like a better relationship with me and Kelly, and like I don't know, maybe like a chain reaction would happen and things would get better.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just like hoping for too much, but I mean, makes me feel better.
Yeah. Well, and you did something and things did get better, right?
Mm-hmm.
You took a step with something that you could control, and the outcome was positive, and so I think it's completely reasonable to feel like if you continue to take some of those steps over things that you can control, that the outcomes can be positive. There's no guarantee, but that doesn't mean that you can't have an expectation or a hope of some more good things happening.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that hope makes me feel happy.
Yeah. When was the last time you felt that?
So like happiness?
Yeah, just hope and happiness and kind of the way you're feeling as a result of this interaction.
I mean, it's been a while. Like there's things that always make me happy, like getting an A on a test, or like getting a good tip at my job. But like that kind of happiness, it's been a long time. Like things with my mom have been kind of iffy.
Yeah.
Of course, my roommate situation's been iffy, but yeah.
Yeah. So I want to explore what your thoughts are on this happiness that you're feeling compared to some of the fear that you felt leading up to talking to Jane. Mm-hmm. So just the presence of those two things and kind of how you view the fear leading up to it in relation to the happiness that you feel as a result of doing it.
Like the fear definitely is like a thing. It's not like extremely strong, but it is like pretty prominent. But like it's kind of just like you have to put yourself out there, go out of your comfort zone a little bit to get like what you want. Taking that extra step, and like sometimes good outcomes happen, and like so when they do or when they did, like made me feel really good, and I'm really glad that I did conquer that like fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they are totally different ends of the spectrum, but
yeah. So the discomfort was worth the outcome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What are some other areas or situations that you might be able to apply what you learned and what you experienced in this situation to?
I mean, like I feel like I could take that initiative with my mom. Like just straight up tell her what I think. I know that like she can't really control what she does, but at the same time, like maybe if I voice my opinion about it, like she'll try not talk about it as much when I'm around, or she might try and clean up the living room when I come over, and like we'll just like have a good interaction for once. Like it is scary to think about, but if I do get that positive ending, positive reaction after doing it, like I think it'd all be worth it in the end.
What happens if you don't get a positive reaction or the outcome that you want?
Like, see, that's like the flip side. It's kind of just like scary to think about that. I guess that kind of goes back to me kind of like wanting to just apologize for bringing it up or like making the person like, I don't know, like my like ideal person thing that I brought up last time. Like if I voiced my opinion and I got a negative reaction, like that would make me feel like I feel like I would want my opinion to be heard, but at the same time, like if I make them mad, I'd want to fix it. But like with my mom, I guess it's a little different. It's like I've been dealing with this forever. I don't really care about how she like sees me, but I do want her to like hear me out. And if it is a negative reaction that I get, then it's just like, oh, been there, done that, you know?
Yeah. So maybe that's a really good place to start kind of flexing this muscle a little bit, right? And a good place to start being a little more honest in your relationships. So what would happen if you did tell your mom how you felt about some of her habits?
Well, I feel like anything could really happen. Like maybe she would hear me out. Maybe she would like be open to the idea of cleaning up the living room when I come over or something. Like I would really hope that she would hear me out and take my like suggestions, like and like, go through with them. But like also, you know, you never know if she's gonna actually go through with it. Like
there's some risk there, right?
Yeah, for sure, a lot of risk. But I feel like I don't really have a lot on the line with her. Like if I do voice my opinions, it's kind of just like, you know.
There's less risk than there might be in some other situations.
For sure, because she is my family, and she like, I don't know, there's something different there. Like if I was to talk to one of my friends about something like this, like trying to get them to make a big change for me, and they said no, then I would feel really bad. Like, or at least not really bad, but just like bad. And with my mom, it's just like it happened.
Yeah.
She's like family. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Let's imagine that she doesn't change as a result of this conversation. What would that be like for you? What reactions would you have to her as a result, or what reactions would you have to that outcome?
If she didn't change, I feel like my reactions would be like kind of neutral. Like in that case, maybe I would try again in the future and bring it up, but in that moment, I'd be like, well, we tried. We said what we need to, or I need to, and there's nothing we could do about the outcome.
Yeah. So in that interaction, there are kind of like two different sets of outcomes, right? There's how, like, what your mother can do, and like what and how it affects your mother and how it affects you. I'm wondering if there are some aspects of it that could be positive, even if she were to react by not doing anything differently.
Could you like explain that a little bit more?
Yeah. I guess, is there a part of you that might feel good about sharing your opinions with her and your thoughts and feelings with her, even if they didn't change her behavior?
Yes. Yeah, I feel like that is like probably like that's how I would feel like regardless of her saying yes or no. Like if she did say yes to changing, like it would make me feel really, really good. But if she did say no, I would still feel alright because I asked, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I'm seeing like this. You're being true to yourself in that situation, and um, it feels like you would get something out of that,
mhm,
even if the way she reacted isn't necessarily how you wanted her to.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely what the situation would be.
Okay. So let's expand this from there to a situation that might be a little more difficult. So you talked about how it would be more difficult if you said something or asked something uh, to a friend
Mm-hmm.
and they reacted negatively as a result. What about that situation um, would make it more difficult, or what are some of the thoughts and feelings that come up for you, good and bad, when you think about doing something like that?
I mean, with a friend, it would be very different than with my mom because, like, I would still feel scared to ask, like I would with my mom. But if it was a positive outcome, like, that'd be great. And I'd feel really happy. I'd feel really excited that something was changing or happening in general. And if they said no, like, then I would feel like bad for asking. Like, I would feel bad for asking, but I would also feel like kind of going against like being true to myself. Like, if that makes sense.
Say a little more about that.
Um, like I definitely I wouldn't be asking for something if I didn't truly want it, if I didn't truly want it something to change or whatever. So me feeling bad for asking would kind of go against like my whole point of asking. Like it sounds confusing, but I feel like there's like two sides of me in that situation.
Yeah.
Like that are definitely like on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. I think I'm getting what you're saying. Let me ask a hypothetical, and you see if it. You let me know if it will get us closer, a little more in depth into what you're saying.
Okay.
So there are three different possibilities when you could approach a friend and share something that has some risk associated with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one possibility is you don't approach the friend. Another possibility is you approach the friend, you share it with them, and they react the way that you want them to. And then the third possibility is you approach the friend and share it with them, and they react the way you don't want them to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering if we could explore each of those different outcomes, because kind of what I'm hearing you saying is to share your opinions with your friend and have them react negatively is maybe better than not sharing your opinion at all because you're not being true to yourself. Or at least there's, I don't know. What are you thinking?
That's a tough one. Like, I still feel, well, I guess you're kind of right. Like, not like sharing and getting a bad like outcome probably would make it easier for me to not even like that I would have to experience those emotions that I just told you about, the ones that are like so different from each other. But not sharing it all means like I don't have to experience anything at all, even if I do ask, like, can I get my opinion out there? So I feel like not experiencing those emotions and being confused and just like drained, deflated, whatever would be better. Like I wouldn't have to go through that kind of mental like process, problem, whatever. So yeah, I think you are right. It took me a minute to like kind of think
Yeah.
about it, but
But at the same time, I think what you're saying is that would be hard to have somebody react negatively.
mm-hmm.
And what I'm sensing is in some situations, it doesn't feel like it's worth that risk
Mm-hmm.
because that difficulty would be a lot greater than the difficulty of just staying quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think that's spot on.
Okay.
Definitely with my roommates and my like friends from school. We don't really have much conflict, but if I was put in that situation, many friends from school. But not really like my parents or anything. They're just like whatever. Like I have different emotions.
Yeah.
I'm not scared to voice my opinions and them say no because like I don't know, I don't have the same reaction as I would like a friend.
Yeah. Where do you want to be with regard to, I guess, the two different choices? Kind of in general or the majority of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel comfortable just saying, hey, I don't, it's not worth it, so I'm just gonna be quiet. I'm not gonna share my opinions, or is that something that you would like to change?
That's a question. I feel like I do want to be able to voice my opinions and not feel bad when they say whoever it is says like no. Like I want to be more confident. I want to not feel bad when I get a negative answer, like because like people say no all the time, like it's not a big deal. Yeah, definitely those things. Like,
Okay. Where do you think a good place to start would be with that final destination in mind?
mm-hmm. I guess just kind of approaching situations like in a positive way, like not thinking that the person's answer is always going to be negative, not thinking that I have to apologize for what I say, like just being more confident in myself, I guess, not really having in the back of my mind, like, I'm not 100% like an ideal person, like, and that's okay, you know? Definitely, those are big topics.
Yeah. So a mindset, kind of changing a mindset. I'm wondering, what I'm kind of hearing is you want to be comfortable and confident in who you are, regardless of how others might view you or what might be going on outside of yourself. It feels to me like a good place to start then is talking about who you are. So maybe let's just brainstorm a little bit. Like, who is Isabella and makes you you? I don't know. Can we start there?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds alright. I don't even know where to start. Do you have like starting point in mind?
Let's see. What things are important to you?
Definitely school and friends and work. Not so much family. Like they're not towards the high end of the list because they've been so inconsistent in my life. My brother and sister are important to me though. I like to be outdoors and to be like in a peaceful mindset. I like to see my grandparents like every other weekend. And I like to be artistic. And
Yeah.
yeah, all those things.
Okay. So I'm hearing you care about your friends. You care about school and learning. I'm guessing you're a pretty curious person. I know in one of our previous sessions you mentioned you're open-minded. You value like being outdoors and being active. So yeah, there's some really good stuff there. What do you think? So just kind of building off that, if I asked you, what are the 3 best things about Isabella? What would you say?
I'm kind. I am open-minded, and I care for people a lot, like friends and family. Yeah.
Okay. What does it feel like to say that and kind of connect with the great things about you, the things that make you you?
It's nice to acknowledge them, like to say them out loud because like no one really like asks me that. So like it's nice to connect with who I really am and actually think deeply about it. It makes me feel good. Yeah.
Okay.
I wish other people knew about these things.
Say a little more about that.
I guess like on the surface, like I'm just like a people pleaser and people see how like cleanly I am and how into school I am and like those are very surface level. Like I don't know. From another person's point of view, I might seem kind of like crazy a little bit because I do focus on these things so heavily. But like to say these like other things out loud and to like really acknowledge who I really am, like it's nice and I wish other people knew it.
Yeah. Do you feel like, so you talk about being kind and open-minded and caring. And other people maybe not seeing that or knowing that as much as you do. Do you feel like those things are threatened when you are in a disagreement with someone or you do make somebody feel uncomfortable?
Like threatened as in
do you feel like them viewing you as kind and caring and open-minded is threatened by you disagreeing with them?
oh, I mean that sounds right, yeah. I feel like I just want to be seen as those 3 things that I mentioned to you, and when I do act out of line, like I don't know if I would use the word threaten, but they're definitely like not as thought of.
Yeah.
When I do like try and voice my opinions on certain things.
Yeah, I think maybe threatened was too strong of a word. I'm wondering if you feel like they may not see you that way, the same way you see yourself when those situations come up.
Yeah, I think that is a good way to describe it.
Okay. So let's shelve that for a second and dig a little deeper into like those three things. What makes you a kind and caring and open-minded person?
Like, I don't know, that's kind of just who I am. Like, I could never be a bully. I could never be mean to someone intentionally. It's just like goes against me, what I know. And also like I feel open minded because I grew up in such a like conservative and just like closed minded community. That when I came to college, like there's just so many different opinions out there and like you can't really be focused on one, like what I grew up with. And like, yeah, so I think I just kind of became a part of this community when I came to college, and I kept my mind open and I learned new things and maybe just like want to be more of that kind of person.
Yeah. Yeah. And those things are true regardless of how other people see you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you said you could never be a bully, just not who you are, right? So I'm thinking that even when you disagree with people, it's probably in a pretty caring way.
Yeah. I mean, if I do disagree, it's because I do want to protect myself in some way, like in terms of like the roommate situation. But like I don't necessarily know if I want to like. Yeah. Can you repeat the question?
I don't
If
know
you
if
can.
I even asked the question. Was it those things are true regardless of? I think where I started was that like when you disagree with somebody, you are a kind person, you are a caring person, and so it's not going to be with malicious intent.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking that we talked about that final destination of like being able to voice your opinions with confidence, right, and without kind of fear of like negative judgment as a result. And I think what I'm hearing is like you want to be comfortable and confident in who you are, and you're a kind and caring and compassionate and open-minded person. And so what we want to try to work on is believing and accepting that you are a kind and compassionate and caring and open-minded person, regardless of how others might react to you. And even if you might express an opinion that's contrary to theirs.
Yeah, it's like spot on. That's definitely like a big goal of mine.
So, up until this point, in some situations, it's been difficult. That's been difficult to do, right? So what's maybe a situation that you can think of where you might feel you might feel that you're able to really hold on to that belief that I'm kind and compassionate and caring and open-minded even when you disagree with somebody? Is there a situation where you might voice your opinion, and their reaction to it might not affect your core belief of yourself so much?
That would definitely be an example of like my interactions with my mom.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's roll with that a little bit. What are some of the things that you would like to say to your mom?
Like if I was to just interact with her like right now, I'd probably say like I want you to think about me more instead of like your collections, your hoarding. I mean, like, I know it's a part of her. I know that she can't really control it, but I would like to be thought of when I enter the house or her house. I would like for there to be a clean sitting area where we can just have a conversation. And I would like to just be like a regular family for once, like we used to be way back when. Just like I don't know, things to be like consistent and normal and just like not as different as they have been for so long.
It feels like when you say that, like some pressure lifts a little bit.
Yeah, I could tell it's very easy for me to say these things, even if it is just to you.
Yeah.
Like I have all these like opinions and questions and thoughts in my head, like directed at her, and just getting them out. Like it's so easy to flow with. Yeah.
So after saying those things, how do you feel towards this idea that you're kind and compassionate and caring and open-minded?
I still feel like I'm all those things, like even while I'm voicing my opinions to my mom, and even if I might get like a no or like probably not, like I still feel like I am all of those things. I try my best, and yeah. The worst that she could say to my questions or comments is no, and she said those things, and that's okay.
Yeah. So would it be a good idea to maybe try this out sometime soon?
Yeah, I think I can totally do that.
Okay. What do you need to do, if anything, leading up to that? Do you need to practice what you're gonna say, kind of like you just did? What do you think would help you accomplish that goal?
Just like keeping this confidence with me. Like I definitely have a lot of confidence right now, and I don't want it to go away.
Yeah.
If my mom and I like decide to meet at some point here soon, like I don't want everything I just said to just like the confidence to go away. Which I don't think it will, but you never really know.
Yeah. What are some ways that you think you could keep your confidence high, or some ways that you could even increase your confidence from where it is right now?
I kind of think that maybe it would be a good idea to like just remind myself that I am like these things despite what I think other people think of me. Like what I know of myself is definitely like 100% true. And no matter what might be going through my mind about what other people might think of me, like I need to stick with like these solid like character traits and like not back away from them or like throw them away if something bad happens, you know?
Yeah. What might you say to yourself then in the moment or as a reminder throughout the day?
Probably just to be like aware that bad outcomes do happen, but like I'm still a solid, like stable person. Like I'm never, these character traits are never going to change. So like there's some stability in that.
Yeah. Do you know what a mantra is?
No.
Okay. I don't know if I know the true definition of a mantra, but it's the way I understand it. It's a relatively short, simple statement that you can say to yourself throughout the day or in tough moments or whatever. So, in this situation, just as an example, it might be, you know, I'm a good person regardless of how others react to me, or I know I'm kind and open-minded. Even I can be kind and open-minded even when sharing an opinion that somebody disagrees with, or something like that. What does it feel like to think about maybe developing something like that for yourself?
I think it would be a good way to like move closer to my goals. Like if I do have this idea of like a short, simple thing that I say to myself to hold my confidence, to like not back down from certain situations. Like that sounds like really good.
Yeah.
Sounds very effective.
Yeah. And we've been using the word confidence a lot. I think the word courage might also fit. Sometimes I don't know, just kind of thinking out loud, I think of confidence as like maybe not having as much fear, and courage as acting despite having some fear. And so I think maybe engendering some confidence and courage might be good. Does that fit for you? I don't want us to get stuck thinking that you have to have no fear. So anyway, that's just kind of a side note. So what might a mantra look like for you? What might a good mantra be?
Like I like those two words that you use, confident and what was the other one?
Courage.
Courageous. Yeah. Like probably just saying like I'm a confident and courageous and stable person, and like none of that is gonna change despite what happens. Like,
what does stable mean to you?
Like just like not changing, like staying consistent and staying the same, and
Okay. So what about I am confident and courageous and stable?
Yeah, that sounds cool. I like that.
Yeah. And maybe that's something that you can like just practice for a couple minutes in the morning, in the evening, or throughout the day. Like you could just close your eyes and just like repeat that in your mind that I'm confident, courageous, and stable, and really connect with the feelings that those words bring up for you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that.
Okay.
Definitely a good idea. And like, I think even like in normal situations, like even when I'm getting ready for school or whatever, like I could say those things. Or if I'm in a situation that's kind of iffy with my friends or with my roommates, I could say that and like I feel better. Like it's a useful statement in any situation.
Yeah. Can you say it once? Just
Right.
right here.
This is embarrassing. I am confident and courageous and stable.
Yeah. How's it feel to say that? Besides the fact that it's embarrassing to say it.
It's all right. I like it. I like how it sounds out loud.
Yeah. Let's try a different avenue. When you just think of the words confident and courageous and stable, what does it feel like for you in your body?
Inside it feels like I don't know, like I think I mentioned before that like when I was talking to my roommate and she yelled at me like this pit opened up in my stomach. I feel like instead of a pit, it's like a ball of like light and like confidence just flowing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know.
Kind of like emanating.
Yeah.
Yeah. That feels good.
Yeah. Like warm and like I feel just like good.
Cool. So we've talked about several different things throughout our sessions, and it feels like some of them are related, but I want to give you a chance to share your opinion on how you feel about each of those areas now. So we started off talking about your roommates and their cleanliness and just some of the stress and anxiety, sleeplessness that you were feeling as a result of that. We've talked about how you've kind of found a foundation in school. School has been kind of a foundation for you. We've talked about the fact that you have some friends in classes, but don't have a ton of interaction with them outside of class. Talked about some of your mom's issues with hoarding and some family things, and then this idea of wanting to be seen as an ideal person, and some ways to maybe work on that a little bit, right? So I just want to give you a chance to kind of reflect on the things that we have discussed and the things that you've brought up as areas that you'd like to focus on, and see how you feel about those different areas right now.
Yeah. Well, to start, like my roommates, I feel more like positive about the situation now that I feel like I can maintain my like hold my ground, maintain my like confidence with them. Like I know like I shouldn't be just nagging them about the cleanliness of our house all the time, but like if there is a big thing that happens, like if something just an absolute disaster, I feel more confident knowing that I can talk to them and not like feel bad if something bad happens or if something doesn't go the way I want it to go.
So do you feel like knowing that you can be honest with them when like the big messy things happen, does that make it a little easier to think about letting some of the little things slide?
Okay. Yeah, that kind of goes back to what I said about like not nagging them about the small things. Like at this point, I feel like there are bigger things to like tackle, especially in our relationships. Like if there's like some things that do need to be put into the dishwasher. Yeah.
All done.
Sick. All freaking done.